Welcome once again to the Trainwell podcast, where we're inspiring you to get stronger, move more, and have fun. We're excited to chat with you today. It's just going to be a simple Joey and Darian day, and we're going to just do some myth busting for you.
Myth number one. Darian, do I have to get sore and do I have to get sweaty to count my workouts as effective?
You most certainly do not. That would be a myth, Joey. Let's break it down on why. I mean, first, I'm going to just give the simplest, I think we both have some tight analogies for this. One that I like to use in terms of getting sweaty is when you lay on the beach, you're super sweaty. Have you done a good workout? No. You've just gotten overheated in the sun. Your body's sweating. So to think that the reverse would be true doesn't really make sense.
I like to go to the beach, though, and get sweaty.
I do like to go to the beach. Yeah, it's just not a workout. You just can't count it as a workout if you're just laying in the sand.
I always want to tell clients this because even to this day, it's still a common theme that when people would always be like, I didn't get sore. Did I have a good workout? Or I'm not sweating. Did I have a good workout? And I would always tell them, this is even in person too, that if you wanted to just judge all your workouts basically on sweatiness and soreness, then I will take you in the sauna and I will beat you with a stick. That'll get you sweaty and sore. Are you going to get fitter? No. But we are so obsessed with that we need to leave every workout drowning in a pool of sweat, drowning in a pool of blood even. And it's solely not true because your body and your brain are so effective on seeing where you're going to adapt and adapting to the stress as opposed to overloading. The other common saying I always like to say is stimulate, do not annihilate. Stimulate, do not annihilate. Meaning that you go in, you're looking for minimal effective dose, MED. You're not going in there for 10 sets of 5 unless you really need to, like German volume training, but stimulate, not annihilate.
I would agree. I have told clients many a time that when you leave your workout, you should feel more energized, more hyped, get that good adrenaline going. You shouldn't feel like you can barely walk out of the gym. I mean, there's a time and a place with certain programming where you're going to go to failure and, go all out. But for the most part, I would say 90% of your workouts, you should definitely feel more energized at the end of that. So what I think would be beneficial for the listener, Joey, is to kind of break down, why do people get sore? What does that mean when you're getting sore? And why is that not a good reflection on the quality of a workout?
Well, have you start. Go ahead.
Well, I think the times that people get the most sore is when they're brand new to fitness in general, when they're brand new to a specific exercise or a specific sport, a way of moving that they haven't moved. For example, I work out very consistently, 4 to 5 days a week. But when I go for a bike ride, which I don't do a ton of bike riding, I'm almost always sore because it's a new activity that I'm doing, new load that I'm placing upon my body and asking my muscles to do something that they're not used to. Those are all the reasons that people get sore. Are there other ones? When you've upped the weight again, you're adapting to a new load. When you've upped the reps again, you're adapting to a new load, whatever it may be. But those are not things that you're going to be doing all the time because we need to let the muscle have adaptation. So if you're constantly feeling sore, would you agree with this? If you're constantly feeling sore, you're actually probably not training optimally because you're never letting your body recover, repair, adapt.
Yeah, totally. There's numerous ways to get sore. And we got to remember the loading phases, right? There's 5 different types of muscle contraction, but most people know the lifting, concentric, the pausing, the isometric, and then the lowering, the eccentric. And
I love that part. I love an eccentric.
Yeah, you need to own the eccentric. So for the listener, if we're doing a push-up, the act of lowering yourself to the floor is the eccentric portion. If you're doing a bicep curl, lowering the weight from the shoulder down is the eccentric. A squat, lowering yourself from the bottom. And owning that position, if you do any of our trainwell workouts, the tempo is a 2-1-2-1 tempo, which means you lift the weight for 2, you pause for 1, you lower the weight for 2, you pause for 1. And this tempo is exhausting, and that'll really make you sore. But to your point, Dee, yes, new movements for sure will make the body sore. New tempos will make the body sore. Different planes of motion will make the body sore. And all that soreness is just your nervous system, which is this very complex structure in your body that dictates muscle movement and really should be the cornerstone of how we approach training. It's just a new training pattern or a new volume or a new type of contraction that's signaling your brain that, hey, this is new. We're not used to this. So we're going to get sore. When we did rim to rim to rim, I had never used hiking poles before. I was extremely sore in my upper traps. Legs were fine. Well, legs were not fine, but my upper traps were super sore because they're new loading pattern, new tempos, various movements, etc. So getting back to why this isn't an effective mechanism of a good workout, it can be. And I don't want to discourage the listener to not push themselves and to not, lift heavy or lift with intent or try new stuff. But we should never be sore all the time, because the whole point of training is to live a more functional and athletic life, to have more energy for your kids, to go run after the school bus, or to run after the bus if you missed the bus time, or the airport or the airplane or whatever. You want to be functional. You want to be able to move well, and getting sore can impede that. And so again, soreness can be a good indicator of your training loads and you're switching up, but no, you should not be sore all the time.
Yeah, and you know I know a lot of clients, and even myself, it's nice to feel a little bit sore. You do get that feeling like, oh yeah, I really worked that muscle. For me specifically, I like to feel sore in the muscle that I was hoping to work. And it's like an indicator like, oh yeah, I was firing that muscle. However, it also does not mean that if you're not sore after a workout that you weren't firing that muscle or that you didn't do a good workout. You can have an amazing workout and not feel sore. Every way you move your body is pushing the needle forward. Even if we're in a life stage of like the needle we're pushing forward is just simply consistency, like that's a very great place to be in life. It's just to go, okay, I don't have goals of progressing. I don't have the bandwidth to think about progressing in my fitness, but will I still try to be consistent? Okay, that's the needle I want to move. Okay, then do anything, do something. Don't worry about if you're being sore, if you're optimizing your workouts. You are moving the needle forward just by moving.
So we haven't even talked about sweating yet, Dee.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's go lay at the beach.
Sweating is all indicative of your training environment, right? And I randomly, sometimes I'll go do an indoor spin, right? If it's really crappy outside in Colorado. And I will sweat bullets on the trainer, or I will sweat bullets in the basement gym. But when I go to an actual gym or outside, right, I'm not going to be sweating at all. So it's all indicative of your environment, obviously. Was one a better workout than the other? Not necessarily. If I pull up the metrics, my heart rate, my calories expended was the same, if not even less than indoor, because outdoor, when you're cycling, your heels dictate your environment, right? Not your little hands selecting your resistance and whatnot. So sweating is, again, it's regulated by environment. It can be a direct correlation with intensity for sure. But again, if you want to get a good workout, move the needle forward, be consistent with your training. That's way more important. Did I sweat or did I not sweat? Simple.
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting? Because sweating is the body's mechanism for cooling itself. It doesn't mean you're getting a good workout. Like we said, if you're laying on the beach in the hot sun, your body's going to start sweating. But you know what I used to hear? And I want to know if this is a myth. I actually don't know for sure. That the fitter you are, the less you sweat, because your body becomes more efficient at cooling itself or more efficient at that movement, so you don't sweat as much. Do you know if that's true?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, that's totally true.
I never sweat.
I know, because
I'm so fit.
I don't think you push yourself.
or I don't do enough cardio.
Yeah, honestly, when you go and do a true strength session, right? you aren't gonna like ask any power lifter or strongman. Like they'll probably sweat like, at like as they're doing like a more of a work capacities type thing, like Atlas stones and carries and yokes and all that. But in a true strength session where you get like 3 to 5 minutes rest in between sets, you're not going to be all that sweaty, right? Because you're not continuously moving.
Right.
And when you get more and more adapted, like they follow this running tribe in Africa, like where Eliud Kipchoge, sub 2 hour marathoner, dude barely breaks a sweat when he's like doing his his regular workouts, his 80% volumes. And it's adapting to every cell in his body is adapted, right? And so if he were to change his, like, let's say he did cross country skiing, change his environment, did a completely different sport, he would sweat bullets because again, it's your nervous system's response to the environment you're training in. So yeah, I totally, that is a true myth. I've heard the myth that the more fitter you are, you sweat more. What do you think of that?
Well, right. It's weird because, like, I would say that there might be some validity there because the fitter you are, the more you can push. Like, the more you start to push yourself. So maybe you do end up sweating more, but that's because your body's not adapted to that new level of fitness, right?
Right. I know some people who sweat when they just hold a stretching position and their heart rate like skyrockets.
Oh my God, yes.
Again, what is that? That is the brain, your nervous system panicking because I'm in this extremely tight position that I can't move, right? My hip is extended. Like, why are you doing? And again, you'll sweat. It's sweating and your heart rate are all again. They're reflections on your nervous system's adaptation to whatever. If you're doing your taxes, I sweat. If you're driving, and by the way, everyone drives beautifully when there's a cop behind them or around them. Like when I'm by a police officer, like I start sweating a little bit, right? When I go to do when I read the epistle at church, I start sweating. So I'm not getting fitter, right? Driving the car behind the cop or a cop, but I'm responding to that. So listeners, please do not, I repeat, judge your workouts by the amount of which you sweat and the amount of which you get sore.
So before we wrap this myth up, what should they judge their workouts on to know if they did actually do a good workout? If they can't base it on soreness, which they should not, or sweating, which they should not, what are we looking at? What are we basing it on?
2 things, resting heart rate and how you feel. Resting heart rate, you should always track that. I mean, if you have a wearable, it's boom right there. But see how it is day after day after day, especially in the morning when before your feet hit the deck, take your resting heart rate because that's when you're most at rest. Is it a little elevated? Is it going down over time? That's an indicator of whether you're increasing your fitness. And fitness is the ability to do a task, whatever that task is, right? Secondly is how you're feeling. So I have a training log. I encourage everyone to have a training log, right? And a handwritten one, yes, have your trainwell app, but also make note in the morning of how you're feeling. Are you sore? Are you beat up? Did you sleep well? Are your relationships good? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because that is a fine indicator of whether you're moving the needle forward, progressing to the goal which you want, whether that's to be a stronger husband, stronger dad, stronger mom, stronger grandma, whatever. So I encourage you, again, check your resting heart rate, see how you're feeling.
I would agree with that. And I'm going to add one thing that I like to do personally at the end of my workouts to go like, was this a good workout today? And it kind of goes along with just checking in with yourself. But I will ask myself, did I push myself just a little bit past what was comfortable for me? And so a lot of times if I'm in a workout and I think, okay, I'm going to do 3 rounds of this, it's really hard. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to do a 4th just because I don't want to. And I always feel, for me, that's how I go, okay, I pushed myself a little. I challenged myself a little. That's a good workout for today. And every day that looks different. Sometimes just stepping foot in the gym, I challenged myself today. And that's good enough.
I would add another thing is
number 4.
Listen. So when you log how you're feeling, right? And let's say you wake up, your resting heart rate's 10 beats a minute higher. You sit down and log how you're feeling. Oh, I'm kind of beat up. I'm not feeling the energy. Well, listen to what you're telling yourself. Listen to what your body's saying. And then when you go in the gym, it may be a 75% day. It may just be a light walk day, right? It doesn't have to always be this training intensely. And it's hard to get out of that mentality with our social media these days because of what other people are doing, right? So listen to what your body's saying. Log your resting heart rate, track how you're feeling, and listen and execute appropriately. Don't force a round peg in a square hole when your body's saying, hey, I need some more rest on the beach.
Speaking of listening, thank you so much to our listeners for checking out this episode. We hope that you have a better understanding now of what it means to be sore, what it means to sweat, and what you can base your workouts on to know if you're doing a good job for your workouts. So make sure you check our show notes for the link to sign up for Trainwell for 14 days free. Get matched with your own personal trainer, and we'll see you next time.
Train hard, train smart, train to be the best. See you guys.